Have you thought about whether or not you should marry? Let me tell you what Jesus says about it. In 1 Corinthians, we are told, "Are you bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed." So if you are married, don't seek divorce. Are you loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. So if you are single, the advice from God is do not seek to be married. Remember, when us humans set ourselves that we want something, Satan will use that to catch a snare on us. Because we want so badly for something to happen, Satan will use that to slither in and enter into your life, and he may present you with the wrong spouse for you. So it is better if you're single to not seek to be married. And God says, "But if you are married, you have not sinned. And if a virgin marries, she has not sinned." Nevertheless, these have trouble in the flesh, and I'm trying to spare you, says Paul. So the Bible itself warns us that whenever we marry someone, we will have troubles that we otherwise wouldn't have if we stayed single. And Paul goes on to tell us why. Because we're living in the end times, he says, the time is short, meaning God has shortened time and the days. It remains that both they that have wives be as though they had none. So the time is so short that you should be doing so many things for God that it almost feels like you can't even spend time with your wife or your spouse. Because we're in the end times, we're supposed to be working for God. Remember, Peter was married, but he was working for God. And Paul says, and the people who weep as though they never wept. Because the time is so short, it's like you can cry about something, but you also need to keep pushing forward. And they that rejoice as though they rejoiced not. The time is so short, when you're happy, it's going to fly by and suddenly it's going to be something else. And the people who buy things as though they possessed nothing. So everything that you buy, don't be attached to it because we're in the end times. Be okay with losing anything. Don't be attached to anything. Let it go. If God takes it away, let it go. He's testing your heart also when he takes stuff away. So don't throw a tantrum. God is holy. He's not going to put up with it. And they that use this world as not abusing it. So basically, if you're a person who likes to use the things of this world, do not abuse them. Do not keep going and going. Remember, the lust of the eyes is never satisfied. No matter what you do, no matter what you see, no matter what you get, you will always want more. It'll never be enough. So he's describing we're in the end times, and he says, for the fashion of this world passes away. It's about to pass away. So let's talk more about marriage. He that is unmarried cares for the things that belong to the Lord and how he may please the Lord. But he that is married cares for the things that are of the world and how he may please his wife. Is this not true, saints? Most people want to be married. Most people want a companion. But we know and we see the evidence that there is lots of problems that come with being married and having to please one another, that you're going to be distracted from pleasing the Lord. Though it's not a sin to marry, and it is not a sin if you are married. But God is pointing out the obvious. So don't think if you're wanting to marry that it's going to be like a fairy tale, super happy, super great. God is warning you. No. Exactly how you have seen other marriages be where they have issues and problems, exactly it's going to happen to you. And God goes on to say there is a difference also between a wife and a virgin, someone who hasn't been married. The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord, that she may be both holy in body and in spirit. So a woman who decides to stay unmarried, who decides to stay a virgin and chaste, she will be focused on keeping her body and spirit holy and doing the things of the Lord. And God says, but she that is married cares for the things of the world and how she may please her husband. And Paul says, I'm not trying to cast a snare on you. I'm simply telling you that we are in the last times. So how are you going to serve the Lord better? And then God goes on to say, a father who gives his virgin in marriage does well. It's good. It's not a sin. Go ahead and do it. But he that does not give his daughter in marriage does even better. It's in the Bible. Staying single and not marrying, God says, we are doing even better. But why? Don't we all want to have kids? Don't we all want to have a family? Don't we all want to fall in love? That's what we all have said at one point, huh? But the reason that it is good to stay unmarried and stay single is because we are in the last times. We are in the days of Noah. And God said, when the days of Noah come back again, that's when Jesus himself will come back again. At some point, Jesus is going to come back. We're living in the last days. So how are you going to serve the Lord better? Obviously, if we are married, we're going to be having worldly issues with the husband. And if kids come along in the end of the age, Jesus says, woe to the woman that gives suck to a baby in the last days. It is not good. You know why? Because in the last days, when the Antichrist comes, which he's already here and he's going to come out, the women who give suck to a baby, a lot of them are going to give their souls to hell to save their baby. So they're going to get the mark of the beast. Basically, being married is going to make it a lot harder. That's all God is saying, and that's all Paul is trying to spare us from. So if you have been trying to make a choice between marrying and staying unmarried, marry if you want to, but you'll do even better if you stay single for God.